Anxiety. Anxiety is a type of fear. Type of fear that begins in the mind. Type of fear that we need to talk about. A type of fear that we need to know about. Over 40 million people are diagnosed with anxiety every year. From the age of 12 to 17, 25% of them are diagnosed with anxiety. 1 out of 4 people at the high schools have anxiety. One of the number one prescription drugs in America is antidepressants. Over $10 million each month is spent on this medication. You know, we can talk about anxiety all day, but if you really don't know the facts about it, then you're not going to understand why people go through this stuff. You know, a lot of people go through anxiety more than others. Maybe it's the way they grew up. Maybe it's the trauma that they saw in life. Maybe it's the activities that they saw at their house. Maybe abuse, maybe yelling, maybe divorce. There's stuff that leads up to anxiety. And today I hope you understand while we talk about this, that you understand a little bit more about the way that anxiety happens and that it's a real subject. One of the biggest ones in anxiety is the anxiety of worry. You know, and when I was little, I struggled with this a lot. I can remember the night before my freshman year of high school, and man, I was like so excited about going to school and going to high school and finally being around my friends. But being in high school, you always dreamed about what it's going to be like, and when you're a freshman, and when you're going to be like, and you're in high school, and you can finally be there. But I was so worried. I was worried about, are my friends going to have the same lunch period as me? And is the stuff that I bought, is that going to be cool enough to wear when I go to school? And I really struggled with, how are people going to really see me when I'm there? And I would wrestle with that all night, to where I couldn't sleep and I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything because I was so worried about what other people were going to think about me. And finally the day came, and Monday morning came, and I was so excited to go, but I was so nervous still. I honestly thought that on your first day of school that the upperclassmen would take the freshmen and they would pick them up and they'd throw them in the trash can. Man, I was so scared. I really thought that was going to happen. Obviously, that didn't happen, and I'm glad. It's just a theory that we joke around with. But from freshman year in high school to my senior year, I really struggled with what people thought of me, and it really adapted more when I was in high school, but really more when I was earlier. When I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. You can see here on my head, I have a scar. I had seizures when I was 8 years old, and I developed this when I was in first grade, and my hands would begin to clench up like this. And when I would have a seizure, they would clench, and they would go to a ball, and I would hold so tight, and I couldn't let go. Well, I would do this every once in a while, and honestly, when I was 8 years old, I really thought that was not normal, but I didn't think that was that big of a deal. But I was too worried about what people would think about me, so I wouldn't tell anybody. So as my first grade year would go on, and here I am trying to fit in and play on the playground and do my schoolwork, but when I would begin to pick up a piece of paper or a pen, my hands would clench up. Finally, it got worse and worse, and I would try to hide it, and I didn't tell my mom or anybody about it. And finally, they saw it, and they said, "Aaron, you have a problem, and we need to get this checked out." So finally, we went to the hospital, and they opened my head, they cut it open, and they got the tumor out. Thankfully, it wasn't cancerous or anything, and I survived. But I was so worried about what other people thought of me. I already had a problem where I could clench up and I had seizures. I didn't want anybody else to know the real me. I didn't want anybody else really to know what was really wrong on the inside. Like they could see the outside appearance, but to really know that I had a problem, I didn't want anybody else to know. So I struggled with that for so long. And then 12, I got help and it was all fixed. You know, there was a guy by the name of John Rockefeller in the mid 1830s. He was born, and he was the founder of the University of Chicago and then the University of John Rockefeller, and he was a very successful man. And in his mid 50s, he was very wealthy. Even until this day, he's worth over $34 billion. Very successful man. But in his career, he invested all his money into the oil industry. And by the time he was in his mid 50s, he was well established and well known all across the world, and his money was beginning to build up and his success was getting higher. But as he began to get into his business, his anxiety and his worry about, is he going to have more money? Is it going to be able to sustain? Is his success and all his oil going to be able to last? And finally, he went to the doctor to get a checkup, and the doctor told him, he said, "John, if you don't stop what you're doing, your anxiety and worry will begin to kill you." When you think of that, like why would worry or depression or anxiety kill you? But for him, all his worry and all his anxiety and depression begin to make ulcers in his body, and they begin to eat up all his intestines. All his worry, all his depression began to affect the inside of his body. And so this man that's worth over millions and billions of dollars could be able to afford anything he wanted to eat. Lobster, steak, fajitas, anything he wanted. He could eat anything he wanted. But it got so bad, and all his worry and all his anxiety got to him so much that all he could sustain was water or crackers or cookies or milk, because it got so bad to where he couldn't do anything. So finally he got what he needed and he got better. But the anxiety and the worry and depression would have almost killed him if he had not stopped worrying. You know, a lot of people, they'll see other people with success and they think, man, they don't have any fear, they don't have any worry, they don't have any anxiety. But all they see is that success in the beginning. They don't see what they went through in the beginning. You know, I want to challenge you or encourage you, if you're watching this video, to don't stop. Maybe you're dealing with depression, maybe you're dealing with an anxiety or worry, maybe you're like me and you had something that was physically wrong with you and you didn't get help because you were worried about what someone would have said about you. I encourage you to not hold back inside. Don't let the worries of what you think of the people are going to have on the outside. Be true to yourself. Get help. And don't let the depression and anxiety get you down. Decide what you want to do in life. Your visions, your goals, your passions. There's a lot of stuff in my life that I want to accomplish. There's a lot of stuff in my life that I have accomplished. But I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have the anxiety and depression hold me back. Find what you want and go after it.